Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and today we're in here at the hydraulic press. This is more so a tip video than it is following along with any one subject. We are going to be straightening out this rod, and this rod happens to be a feed screw for a lathe. All right, this feed screw was sent to us from Peter up in Calgary, Canada. And before we get into this, I get asked a lot of times where, hey, how can I send that short shaft, or how can I send that that lead screw or that feed screw? Which most lathes have got feed and lead screws. Sometimes they're together in one, and sometimes they're separate. This happens to be separate. This is just a long rod with a keyway the entire length on here, and we're going to straighten it, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. But this was a pretty good pack job here as well. Just like Mike packed up his mill screw for us, and just an outer tube here. Inside is a PVC tube, and then inside that is a piece of insulation, and then that wraps around the screw itself, and we're going to send it back to them exactly the same way. It's just, I just want to point out, this is a good way to transport or send through the mail, and just wanted to kind of cover that a little bit before we get started here. Boy, I can't get enough of that coffee fast enough today. All right, I think I got everything up here on the tabletop to straighten out this feed screw here. All right, now we know it has a keyway in it, and we roll it, and then it interferes on that key. So how are we going to spin this thing so that we can indicate it? All right, well, I went in and I have a catch-all for all my oilite bushings and stuff like that. And I found 3 virgins. All right, so I'm going to slip 3 virgins on my shaft. These oilite bushings are pretty true. I checked them out the other day, and we set up there, and we're able to spin it right there on our rollers. These are 3/4 by 15/16 on the outside. It didn't really matter what size they were, as long as they were a good fit for the shaft itself. All right, so we'll set that box out of the way, because all we need is these 3 pieces here and our feed screw, and we're putting it over this way here, because we're gonna be indicating here, and we're gonna be pressing over here. And I don't like to press right on my steel, but I like my steels for supports, and I have blocks of aluminum, and this is my ever push here, and now it's comfortable. It actually has like a finger grip on it, and it has a couple little radius spots in there. You can see how it's almost an X there, and I always press on this side right here. It works really good. It's been doing the job for a long period of time. All right. Okay, first let's go ahead and indicate the top of our 0 points to show how well these bushings are running on the shaft. Okay, I got you zoomed in here, and you can see that it's just barely fluctuating on the top of there, and some of that could be just the force of the needle going back and forth here. All right, so that's a little bit less than about 0.5 thousandths there that is running there. Let's check the other one on the other side. Okay, and here's the other side, and it's the same thing, and it only fluctuates because I changed directions there, so it just happens to be how this old indicator reads. So anyway, we've got 0 and we got 0 on our rollers. Okay, and what do we have in the middle here? It looks like a good 4, depending on how I'm rolling it in here or out here. And but we definitely have some run out there. Okay, so there's the high. and there's a low. All right, we're going to be pressing somewhere right around in there, which is just off of the edge of that keyway there. And that's why we're playing with the aluminum here, so that if we're next to that edge of that keyway there along on this screw or this shaft, we're not going to be mushrooming or deforming that surface there. We don't have any hardened steel sleeves to press right on that. That's why we're going to be using the aluminum here. All right. So we take our Sharpie. We got one here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, and we're going to mark that right there. All right, and we marking each side of our rollers here, so we got an idea of where we're actually reading 0, and when we put things back, we'll be able to slide it back exactly in this spot, give or take a 1/4 inch or so. And when we set this up on here, we can go ahead and create similar to that. We're only going to be spanning about here and here, but we'll make sure that we're equal out here. All right, and we'll be setting it up like that. We'll slide this over, and we're going to press right there. Okay, I've got my bar slid in here. Got this situated side to side. Got this out of the way. This is in the right rotation. I'm down here. Now the last thing I want to add in is on this ram, I've got my mag base that will clamp right to the ram. Tongue twister. All right, dial indicator will go up against the top here. All right, and I want to pick probably about the middle of the road. I'll give that a shot right there. Now this is my indicator for how far my ram has traveled for each push, so that I can physically put the amount of travel for what I'm attempting to straighten, and then check, and then go back, and then I have a spot that I can go back to within reason. Okay, I mean, I'm going to be setting this in here, and whether this hits exactly in the same spot or whatever, I'm going to be within, I don't know, probably at least 10-15 thousandths of hitting the same spot. I know I'm going to rock that in there like that. We're going to have some pretty good feel. So I just want to give you an idea of what I actually got going on up here. So I'm going to be bringing you in, just overviewing the whole project here, so that I can move fairly quick. All right. So, and that way you know what I'm doing here as well. All right, let's get started. Okay, we're running about 4, and that's pretty close to our spot right there. I'm getting the feel to where I know that I can't move that back and forth right now. It's touching. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick my middle point right there. All right, that's 0 right there. That's 100 thousandths. Okay, we got to start somewhere. And we shut that off. Everybody goes, "Wow, that thing is really noisy." Microphones pick up enormous amount of noise. Okay, that's how this thing sound like at day one. This is hollow up inside here. Okay, so it does act like a little echo chamber here, and my microphone probably catches it pretty good. But you notice that when I do talk, you can hear me talk over my machine. So it's more of a microphone thing, I think. All right. Now we'll put this down in here. Let's see if we moved it anywhere. Okay, we brought you in closer, and I think. All right. That way you can see the rollers. You'll be able to see when I get up here pressing. And anyway, what do we have here? get lined up here on the top. And we got like 2/2000s, pretty close in that same spot right there. All right, it's already marked. Oh, we fell on the key. That's why we got to run this sleeve on here so we don't do that. Well, we just got, that's what you call getting lucky there. Just a little bit, pretty close to the exact same spot. I like that. All right, let's go ahead and give it another push here. And this time here, I mean that moved 2/2000s with the straight 100 there. Let's and I'm going to come down and see. Okay, there's our there's our 100. I'm just going 125. 125, and put our indicator on here. It seemed to have moved it slightly, about the same. It's about 3/1000s, but it moved it slightly over to the outside. And that's, you have a keyway running this entire length, so you're going to have different movements on a feed screw. All right, right there. There's our 100, 125. Okay, 150. Okay, at 150 pushed it to the other side of the shaft. We're on that verge where you got that minute amount of going past. Let's go ahead and mark that. And that's almost the original 4/1000s right there. Okay. We show up at our 0 plus or minus 10/1000s or so that's about how close that 0 comes back in there. All right, there's our 100, and there's our 25. I'm only going 130. That's really almost within 2, and the high is The high is pretty close to right back where our original high is. The difference of 5 thousandths on your pushing, give or take 5 thousandths, right? Make the difference of pressing too far. All right, so we know we're running within 2 thousandths there, and let's just check it a couple places here. All right, the same. All right, now we're going to start going for our outsides to rough those in to hopefully the same thing as we have in the center here. Okay, we readjusted in here because we're concentrating on this section out here. All right, we moved our roller in just a little bit because we wanted to make sure that we were in that area there in the center that was running the truest, and where this bearing was right here, and we have just a little discrepancy right in this inside of this here. So what we did is we're running within 2 right there, and so we're holding this in here, and maybe about 3 thousandths there, and we progress out here, and she starts growing, and we have about 12 there. And then by the time we get out here, we have 30 or so. And it progresses on the same side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to support it in this area right in here, and support it right about in here, and we're going to be pressing right where the bend starts over here, because this progressively gets worse from here. So that tells us that the bend is in this area right in here. So that's what we're gonna work on that part now. All right, so we're gonna set up our mark for our low. Okay, our mark for the low is directly in line with our high that was in the middle, and that kind of tells us that that bend there was progressive with the rest of the bend. It may be sharper right here, but it was still in line with our original bend. Okay, originally we were running our bearing block there. We know that we were running in here about 0, but we do know that the bearing kind of, or the bend kind of starts in that area there. We're going to slide it a little bit like this. There we go. And we can let that rest on there while we start this. Okay, we're still repeating around that same 0 there. Now we know that it starts moving around 1/8 of an inch of push in between these two supports here. We have that ratio kind of figured out right now. We needed to bend this about 30 out here. So here again, we're just going to go to our 100 thousandths for a test run. Okay, now we'll see if it changed any. Our low is still in the same, and it's still about the same there. We had about 8 or 10 there, and out here at the end we had 35 or something like that. And we still have about 30, 33, 34, somewhere around in there. Okay, let's take it, the same thing. We're just going to increase it to our next level of press. There's our 1/100,000ths. Okay, there's 125. Still no change. Okay, that was 150 this time. All right, we're making headway. We're down to about 20 thousandths on the end there. Okay, after this last push we had here, we've got this running within a couple thousandths here, and down here. Maybe about 3 or 4 thousandths. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to endo it, because we have a bend in the other side that was similar to this side, and it's easier for me to work this in where I'm going with this shaft. All right, so we're going to pull this off of here, because we're going to slip that on the other end, and we're going to endo it to where this bearing here is lined up with this other bearing. Shafting roller, I should say. Right here. All right, so we know that this bearing has never changed while we're rotating and doing measuring. We've only changed this one in and out. All right, and even though we turned it around, that end still looks good. Okay, we have similar run out here. We'll slide this bushing. Actually, I'm gonna rob this other one. We grabbed a 4th virgin out of our box there, so I have 2 of them to play with here on this end. All right. About 4. There's our high. There's our low. Okay. And we come out here. It was so much easier when that was out there like that. We're gonna swap this around. We're gonna move on down this way here. We're gonna leave that roller where it's at. Bring our 0 down here. Okay, now we're good. All right. Not quite the 30 the other one was, but we got 20. And the low, and believe it or not, well, we turn the shaft around, so it's on the opposite side, but it's still on the keyway side. See, we're still working right. The low was still on that keyway. All right. Right in that neck of the woods right there. And we come back to this one here just to show you that that same 4 thousandths or so is still in there. All right, and there's the low, right? Yep. Okay, there's the low. So basically, what we're doing is we've been pushing down, because the whole keyway side of it was expanded from end to end, but it was really heavier towards both ends of the shaft. It wasn't the center of the shaft was running pretty reasonable. You saw that right off the bat. All right, so we're going to work a little bit on this one here, and it's going to be doing the same thing as we did on the other one. And we're going to call just about that position right there. There's about 125. 125 seems to be somewhat, I wouldn't say the magic number, but it's been pretty close to that magic number. And it doesn't look like we moved anything there. Pretty close to still about the 20. Okay. We'll take it just a little bit farther. All right, we cut it down to about 12. Make sure everything is kosher here on my rollers. I think I tilted this roller here. Yeah, I did. Okay, but still, we got it down to about 12. And we're just a little bit on this side of the keyway this time. Okay, after a couple times in the press there, we were able to get this right down to about 3 thousandths there. Now let's see what we got over here. About 2 thousandths there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and regroup, and we're going to spread out our rollers here a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and map the whole end here from end to end, and then we're going to make a few finer adjustments to this, and I think we just about got this wrapped up. Okay, we brought you outside here to my straightening table. I like to straighten out here because water can fly, and that's how I cool down the shaft after I heat up my spots. And we put a bearing out here and a bearing out here, and we mapped this. Now we had like 7 right here, 8, we had 9, 10, and 7 and 5, and pretty close. I mean, there is a little bit of variance, but they're pretty close to being all on 1/4 of the shaft. So just to this other side of this keyway right here. So the 7 right here that I'm reading, the high is almost on that leading edge of the key. So when you got that kind of situation, you got to play a little bit on one side and a little bit on the other side. And the reason why I'm concentrating on it and here, pretty much the rest of this in the middle, in fact, I'll show you how. I hope you can see the indicator. You see the indicator? Okay, I know you can see the indicator now. But I can push down with my pinky as much pinky pressures as you can imagine there, and I can get an 1/8 of an inch. I can lightly hold this up here without. It's not even leaving the outside rollers yet. Okay, it just left. Okay, I can get almost 50 thousandths of arc in this thing. So this has plenty of room to absorb 4 or 5 thousandths of run out. There's no problem there. Most of the time you lay the carriages in here, this is being held out there. 4 or 5 thousandths is not going to be. The bend that this had, you could see it and it could bother you, and it can also, as this is rotating around, it can cause extra wear on your bearing support and everything else on your carriage. True straight line, less amount of interference or pressures caused by misalignments. Alignment and straightened line means that you're going to be able to get the best performance, the longest wear, and all of that. With all of that said, let's go ahead and bring you back out, because you know we're running acceptable right here in the middle right now, because we can get that much play with it without any effort or motion compared to what it was. All right, but we're going to go ahead and while we have it, let's tweak it. Let's tweak it because we can. Okay, I kind of brought you out here. I'm going to set this at 0 there, and we're coming up here, and that is about the 7 that we were looking for. And I'm going to be working this side of the indicator. Get our torch here settled out. I could almost probably use my smaller torch, but this would be good. Okay, bleeding off my water, just making sure I got that. Tune in my flame a little bit more. Okay. All right. Lighting at both ends. We're on the high, and I'm going to go ahead and heat it right here where I see this little wear mark. And we're running about 4. Plain steel will travel a little bit. It takes a lot more heat area when it has more carbon in it than non. Stainless moves very, very easy, and you've seen that in a lot of my demonstrations. Okay. Now the high is more so on this side of the keyway, and that's like I said, you had to hit some of that. You had to hit some on this side here. So we're going to go ahead and hit this one now on that same wear area right there. Just a cylindrical wear area I see on there. When this lays flat on that key, you get a little bump, so you got to kind of read the rest of it around there. Okay, I'm within about 3 thousandths right now. There's kind of like a low. There's kind of like your high. That's close. That's very, very close. I'm coming down in here and okay, coming down here and checking the middle. So you almost got to roll it out here by the roller so you can see. But I've cut that down in half. We're like around the 5 or so, and this is where we had the 10 and 9. Okay, back here real quick. Every once in a while, you just got to check and see where you're at. I was rolling right. I was rolling in there. I was straightening on the side of it right here. Okay, come on down here. Same thing. Okay, that took that to about 2. We're about 3 right there. We have a little bit of rise where that lays on that. This is really worn in here in the middle. It's pretty sharp at the edge. Now we got about 4 right there now. We got a little bit more in there. I'm gonna set this at 0 there and come over here because it's a little bit more side to side. I got 0 there and I got about 7 straight across. Okay, it's gonna be hard to beat this. So I think we're down about 3. Phone. Okay, we heated it once here and we heated it once here on this side here, and I think we're doing good now. Besides the one little flat spot where it drops there, she's holding up there really nice. Double back and check this area here, and that's the same thing. We're running about 3 thousandths there. Same there. And we're within about 2 right there. Alright, I think we can be pretty happy with this. We're going to put it in the little Rutland lathe with the collets, and we're going to do a nice polish on it. So let's go in there and look at it spinning in the lathe. Okay, we put in our collet. We had the 3-jaw chuck in here from our last little episode there, and I went ahead and switched it over to the 3/4 inch collet, which we're going to hold these. Now our little heat spots here is what we want to do a nice polish over this whole shaft now that it's running pretty darn true. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and stick this through. Now, neither end of this is center drilled, so we can't really support that. And this, I don't really have a sleeve for a 3/4 inch, 3/4 to 1, and then if I have this little bushing here, I could hold that. Let me see what I got. Maybe I do have something that I can get in there. Okay, we found a bushing in there, and we're on. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and take some paper and polish this up. I might have to get a new piece. All I got is kind of like worn out pieces, but we'll check it out. All right, let's see, where are we at? We're at C and 3. C and 3 would be 500. And take off the feed. There we go. Okay, that's 600 RPMs. And that thing is running pretty darn true right there. This is on fine paper. This is like 320. How's that run, Peter? A little, a little better than it did, huh? Okay, just a little bit on this bearing diameter here. All right, what do we got here? All right, let's go ahead and endo this. Okay, we flipped it around and we're going to polish the last little bit here. Excellent. Okay, and that was 3/4 by 1 bushing, and we had made this Delrin little spacer for another little job, so it was a 1-inch diameter and then fits this. So there's our first little spacer we made for the back of the collet assembly, which lets you spin it pretty freely without it wobbling too much around. I had to take a break and go get some coffee to go along with this fresh onion bread. Special call out to Brenda Bennett and also her husband, Joseph Bennett. Thank you guys very much. She can bake like nobody's business, huh? All right, Peter, check it out. I'm going to get this back in the tube, get this ready to send back to you. All right. And tell everybody, till next time, get her done.